Welcome to today's lesson. We're going to mainly talk about different kinds of notes in different value and identifying time signatures, plus how to use a metronome and identifying simple dynamics. Now let's start the lesson. Now this note is a whole note, and this whole note means a 4-beat note. A whole note in a speed of 100 BPM, which I will explain later what BPM is, sounds like this. The red sign for this 4-beat note for this whole note is pretty interesting. It looks like this upside down hat, which is pretty much just a triangle under the middle line. And for the red sign, when you see this, it means that you have to rest for 4 beats. And the half note, as you can see here, is basically the whole note plus this little stick beside it. And the rest sign for the half note is similar to the whole note, but not exactly. It's this rectangle that rests on the middle line, but it looks like a little hat. A quarter note is a quarter of the whole note. So if the whole note is 4 beats, then a quarter note is 1 beat. And then the rest sign for a quarter note looks like this. So basically when you see this note when you're playing music, you just take a rest. You don't play at that beat. And then an eighth note. An eighth note is the eighth of a whole note, which is the half of a quarter note. So there's 2 eighth notes in a quarter note. And here is the rest sign of an eighth note. Now this is a 16th note. And it's basically the 16th of a whole note. And there's 4 16th notes in a quarter note, which if you plus this 4 together, it's equal to the value of a quarter note. Now we're going to identify the time signatures. Now when you first see a time signature, and it is usually at the beginning of the piece of a music. When you first see a time signature, you can identify the time signature by looking at the top and the bottom numbers. It is not that hard as it seems to understand. And first, we will look at the bottom number. The number at the bottom represents the value of the note. If the number is 4, then we know that piece is measured in a quarter note. And by looking at the top number, we know how many beats are supposed to be in that bar with that value. Okay, I know it kind of sounds confused, but it's actually not. Okay. For example, if the time signature is 4/4, then we know for that piece, there's 4 beats, which is according to the top number, in measure. And each beat is equal to a quarter note, which is here, according to the bottom number. And if the time signature is 3/4, then we know there's 3 quarter notes in that measure. And if the time signature is 6/8, then we know there's 6 eighth notes in measure. Though for the beginners, you only need to know the 4/4, 3/4, 2/4s, because those are the easy ones that beginners will to learn. The other ones, such as 6/8, are a bit more complex to play, so those are for the higher grades to learn. 4/4, 3/4, and 2/4s, those are enough for a beginner to learn. Of course, if you want to play a piece of music, especially when a band is going to play a piece of music, there has to be a unified tempo for it. Otherwise, someone's going to play fast music, someone's going to play slower, and fast and slow, combine them together, it's going to be so messy. And that's why tempo is so important. The tempo is the speed at which a piece of music is played. The method we use to measure tempo is by using BPM, which is beats per minute. If the tempo is 120, then it means the speed is equal to 120 beats per minute, which sounds like this. talking about tempo, you have to know how to use a metronome. A metronome is a device that helps provide a clicking sound at a certain speed, well, at a certain tempo, which helps you to keep track of the speed. You can set the speed at any time signature you want. There's a metronome online and in real life. And I'm just gonna mainly talk about how to use a metronome online. There's a variety kind of metronome online produced by many companies, though their layouts are mostly the same. Mostly. Some are, well, kind of different, more advanced. Well, most of them are similar, which make that too easy to understand. When you open a metronome app, you usually see a number somewhere in the middle that represents the current tempo. And there usually should be a fraction beside it. You represent the time signature. All you have to do is to set the time signature into the right value, and then you can start your practice. One tip about the successful practice is to set the tempo, which is usually the number in the middle. Start from low, and then gradually increase it to the speed you want. Therefore, from slow to fast, you can get a good idea of the change between the fingering and the breath plus the other details. A metronome app is really going to help you, and with all the practice, you're gonna one day reach success. In order to make a successful piece, there's one other thing that you have to take care of. That is the dynamic. Well, of course, dynamic is not really beginner thing. You only have to learn dynamics after you have got familiar with all the notes and then got familiar with all the fingerings, and you want to increase the quality of the piece. Now, there's many dynamics in the world, and here's a picture of some of the dynamics we often see even in a very beginner's piece. From here you can see pianissimo, piano, mezzo piano, mezzo forte, forte, fortissimo, crescendo, and decrescendo. And those signs represent very soft, soft, medium loud, loud, very loud, gradually louder, and gradually softer. If you don't understand how really important dynamic is, I'm gonna show you a soundtrack now. This soundtrack is played by one of the most advanced professional flute player, James Galway. And this song is called Memory, and when I first heard the song, there's just an image just suddenly popped in my head of an old man sitting lonely in front of the window, remembering those good times he had with his passed away wife. And it's a really sad scene. And when I heard the song, I just want to tear. I just want to cry. It's so moving, okay? It can touch the softest part deep in your heart. And those feelings is all because the amazing dynamics that James Galway used. Here's the soundtrack. That's all for today. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. I will reply as soon as I see it. See you next video!